Priyakaro Himasaro Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bhararo Arabhantarako Bande Rupa Sanatana Bhajaka Sri Palaka Krishna Kirtana Vanana Tanapara Primamritam Bani おはようございます。準備中です。おはようございます。みっちゃん。ありがとうございます。少しお待ちください。はい。Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandi Namatvaliko Vande Martes. Martes.もうつながってる？はい、つながってます。
Hare Krishna。
Hare Krishna。
もう33分過ぎてます。
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna、よろしくお願いします。Please start.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Oh, should we sing? So should we sing Jai Radha Madhava already? Or
Already 5 minutes over. You can start.
okay. Tvam, you, my dear son. Na, not. Ot, and. Me. Kripanam, very poor. Anatham, without a protector. Tyaktum, to give up. Vichakshva, look. Pitaram, at the father. Tava, your. Shokataptam, affected by so much lamentation. Agya, easily. Tarema, we can cross. Bhavata, by you. Aprajadushtaram, very difficult to cross for one without a son. For one without a son. No. Which? Dvantam, the kingdom of darkness. Nayahi, do not go away. Akarunena, merciless. Yamena, with Yamaraj. Duram, any further. So we are reading from Canto 6, chapter 14, titled King Chitraketu's Lamentation, text 56. Narhasichamam kripanam anatam tyaktum vichakshva pitaram tava shokataptam agyas taremam bhavata prajadushtaram ya dvantam yahi akaruna nena yamana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Is there? Okay. Yeah. My dear son, I'm helpless and very much aggrieved by my company. Just look at your lamenting father. We are helpless because without a son we shall have to suffer in the distress of going to the darkest hellish regions. You are the only hope by which we can get out of these dark regions. Therefore, I request you not to go any further with the merciless Yama.
シーラ・プラパダによる翻訳です。第56節。我が愛する息子よ、私はどうすることもできないし、非常に苦しんでいます。私との絆を忘れてはいけません。悲しんでいるお父様をご覧ください。息子を失ったのですから、私たちは奈落の底へ行くという苦しみを受け入れなければなりません。ですから私たちはどうすることもできません。この真っ暗な場所から出ていける唯一の望みがあなたです。だから、無慈悲なヤマラージャとさらに遠い場所へ行かないように私はあなたにお願いいたします。
Report. According to the Vedic injunctions, one must accept a wife just to beget a son who can deliver one from the clutches of Yamaraj. Unless one has a son to offer oblations to the Pita or forefathers, one must suffer in Yamaraj's kingdom. King Chitraketu was very much aggrieved, thinking that because his son was going away with Yamaraj, he himself would again suffer. The subtle laws exist for the karmis. If one becomes a devotee, he has no more obligations to the laws of karma.
解説です。ベーダの教えによると、ヤマラージャに捕まることから救える息子を得るためにだけ妻をめとらなければならない。ピターたちに捧げる貢ぎ物としての息子を授からなければ、ヤマラージャの王国で苦しまなければならない。息子がヤマラージャに連れて行かれ、自分自身も再び苦しまなければならないと考えて、チトラケトゥ王は非常に苦しんだ。微細な規則はカルミーに存在している。献身者になればカルマの法則の関係はもはやなくなる。Finish.
So we can see here that King Chitraketu's main objective of having a son was to protect himself from suffering and going to the lower hellish regions.
あ、すみません。大丈夫ですか？
私は、息子を授かれば、父の方が助かるという、そういうことです。
Yeah, so the idea behind Chitraketu's having a son, primarily was that he doesn't go to the hellish planetary systems. He doesn't suffer.
息子を授かることによって、チトラケトゥは余分になって苦しむことがないという、そういうアイデアです。
So this is pretty motivated reason for following any principles, any shastric principles.
その原則の理由、モチベーション、理由は、すべてシャストから経典から来ます。
We can understand that the scriptures can be utilized in various ways. Different ways.
経典はいろいろな使うことが利用することができる。
Varnashram Dharma system is a system for elevation of the living entities. And initially, in order to attract living entities to practice the system itself, there are various kinds of very attractive and promises that are mentioned.
この魅力ある方法に、執着なくて、その何かを捧げる、そういう約束に執着をする。
And since people do have some experiences within this material world and do have understanding how it is, Dukkhalayam and Ashashvatam to the degree themselves from getting entangled within any such kind of negative experiences.
人々が筋肉に生きていて、さまざまな物事を経験して、そして、この世界に巻き込まれるその体験をします。
So the scripture offer various kinds of attractive promises so that people can the scriptural injunctions and therefore prevent any kind of further sufferings within the material world.
基本的に興味を持って人々は、この物世界に、ね、いろいろな分野を受け入れる、経典を受け入れるんですが、そういう執着を持っているためにいろいろさまざまな苦しみを経験する。
As we know, people can create a whole culture based on how to be happy within this world.
さまざまな文明がありますが、それはみんなこの世界でどうやったら物世界で楽しく生きれるかということを考えます。
Like nowadays, we know there people are very conscious of healthy living.
今、現代ではみんなとても意識しているのは健康的な生活。
At least some of the people, they think the healthy living is just to enjoy the senses. That's a more hedonistic approach. I mean, somebody who just thinks that sense enjoyment is the goal of life, no matter what has to be done to achieve that enjoyment.
健康的な意識的に健康的な生活をするという意味は、結局はこの物世界で感覚を楽しませる。それがこの人生のゴールと考えています。
So then the little higher principle than that is understanding that various substances, various modes of living are affecting us in a negative way. Then some people, to the degree in the higher mode of goodness, then they understand what is really beneficial, at least even materially, and what is not.
ですから、この高い、それを感覚満足をゴールするよりも高い現象とかまたそれがあるわけですが、でもしかし、ネガティブな、ネガティブな方法から低い様式からまた高い様式に気づいていくと。そこで高い様式に恵まれれば、その恩恵として何が物質か精神かは見分けられるようになります。
So it is stated that humans are social animals.
人というのは社会的な動物と言われます。
And they have to live together.
みんな一緒に過ごさなければ、暮らさなければならない。
Ultimately, even if somebody breaks out and tries to live separately, he will create a family, and from that family, again, there's another kind of society.
しかし、そういう社会から離れたとしても、また他の家族を作って、また他の社会を作ったりするわけです。
So there has to be some kind of a system that will regulate different dealings and relationships amongst the members of that society.
ですから、さまざまなその社会の性質とかが違うわけですが、それぞれのやり取りも違う。いずれにしてもそういうシステムの中で生きていかなければ生きていけない。
So now, of course, depending on so many factors that will affect of course, environment, time, place, circumstances, will affect the consciousness of those living beings, and they will strive towards different kinds of systems as such.
ですから今、社会学の話ですけど、たくさんの物語があった時間や場所、なんだろう、3つの条件があって、それに影響されていて、人々はさまざまな種類の生命体 人間生命体なわけです。ですから、それによって様々なシステムがそこで確立したりします。
So it all depends to which degree the modes of material nature are affecting certain group of people.
ですから、どのような様式に影響されているかによって、それぞれのシステムがそれぞれ多様性があります。
We see the most prominently nowadays in Kali Yuga, this is a little bit of mode of passion and hardly any mode of goodness.
カリユガですから、ほとんどが無知で、ほんの少し、劇場の式、特の式がほとんどないという状況です。
This is what Kali Yuga is all about. It's just deep mode of ignorance.
これがカリユガです。ほとんど無知の様式に影響された時代です。
It's just animalistic life. Animalistic. Animal.
動物的な生活の状態です。
So what is animalistic life? It's just basically trying to gratify the senses.
その基本原則は何でしょうか。楽しむことです。
And considering that this is the source of happiness.
これが喜びの源の原因だと。それが感覚満足。
And as we know from description in Bhagavad Gita, the modes compete with each other, over supremacy, over, anything.
このババギターによれば、この三様式というのはいつも競争していて変化している。
Time, place, circumstances, people, consciousness, like this, they compete with each other.
この時間、空間、場所によって、人々はその様式の違いによって、それぞれの違いを持っているわけです。
And those qualities pervade the entire universe.
それが宇宙中に影響、あまりなく行き渡っています。
So especially in this age of Kali, the mode of ignorance becomes more stronger, more prominent.
カリがですからその影響力は非常に強くなっています。
And udvam gachanti tamasa, jaganya guna vrittista udam ado gachanti tamasa. It's like the point is if somebody associates with certain mode of material nature, this is what he's going to achieve. By mode of goodness, he'll be elevated. By mode of tamas, he'll be just drowned down in the hellish systems or animal life.
今のジャーマンという説で、人がその交際によって、その交際の相手によって、上に上がるか、特の様式か、劇場、または無知の様式にその影響されてしまいます。
So we see when people don't have any conception of religious practice, then they're really just like animals.
ですから宗教的なものを取り込んでない人類というのは動物の生活となります。
Just eating, sleeping, having sex, and defending. These are just primary goals of life.
ですから食べる、寝る、身を守る、性行為をするというのが人生の目的となっています。
Whatever reason, maybe a little better karma or different age or different times even of the day, when somebody becomes more active in any of those, then we see that maybe mode of passion and mode of goodness becomes a little more prominent and affects people consciousness to start a little bit considering, living in a different way.
しかし、そのような状態から少し彼らが良くなって、変化していけば、もっと人は無知の様式から劇場の式に影響されて、その影響を受けて、また違う、もう少し高い。
And as soon as there is a little tinge of mode of goodness, then people can see things as they are. No, the thing as they are, just the reality. They can perceive the real.
その特の様式になれば何が真実であるかを見分けられるようになります。
Reality, then they can understand that there's some higher forces that they cannot compete with.
ですから、その真実を見分けられれば何か近いをというものを比較できるようになります。
That there are some higher forces and energies that they're just subservient to, that they cannot control. People.
人々は自分がそういう本当の真実を知れば自分がこの世界支配はできないんだということに気づきます。
And therefore they bow down to those natural forces, and this is the way that some kind of, as they say, primitive religions start existing.
そのようにしてそういった力に比例というか不自由というか受け入れるようになってより高い生き方ができるようになります。
Of course, this is the reverse process of practice and organizing any kind of religious thought or a society. Means from something that it's absolutely degraded towards something that is more elevated.
このような文明的な そういうシステムがオーガナイズされれば、それを修練をすることによって社会が発展していきます。
Then from absolute selfishness, being self-centered, that people consider, yes, if I'm not so selfish and maybe I consider a little bit, broader society and somebody around me, then actually I can have a better sense enjoyment.
そういうふうに、自分を分析していくようになると、的だとこの社会は。
So that's called.
わかるんですが、そうするとさらにもっと高い感覚満足を得ようとする。
So from the level of anamaya, somebody comes to the level of pranamaya, somebody else. So it's still more extended sense gratification or extended selfishness.
そのアナマヤからプラナマヤという段階を得れば、植物依存から自分の体を守るという段階に行くと、その楽しもうというその感覚満足がより高いものになります。
So most of the atheists are in those categories, it's just like consciousness. But when somebody considers something greater than this, then he can come to the level of manamaya and then start, philosophizing at least or practicing something that is religious.
無信仰者ですけどね、無信仰者ですとか、無信仰者。いずれにしても無信仰者の高級な無信仰者で、結局は動物みたいなものですが、高められていけば、マノマヤになって、マノマヤは哲学的な探求、そこには宗教的なものはいくらか含まれるようになります。
So this is spiritual or evolution of consciousness.
精神的な革命の意識です。意識革命です。
And we see that in every society, like the Vedic principle was, out of 1,000 people, there will be about most of them, let's say the 1,000, that's the ratio kind of, the 1,000 will be mostly having Shudra mentality. The 100 will have a Vaishya mentality, 10 will have Kshatriya mentality, and one of those will be Brahminical, having Brahminical qualities. Yeah.
ベーダでは、たくさんの人がそこで、説明されていますが、その階級のその人々の段階的な話です。シュードラのようなメンタリティ、心の持ち方をする人がほとんど完全に、その中でバイシャがその中でほんの少し、もっと記者というのは少なくて、ブラマが少ないですが、そういう存在があります。
So now we are already talking about the Vedic culture, Vedic society, because Shudras are pretty much elevated human beings. They follow the scriptures. They're just a little more sensuous, that's all.
今、そういうデータの文化について書いているわけですが、シュードラがその一番今の時代は大きな力を影響力を持っています。
But anything beyond that, this is just, there's nothing to do with anything spiritual practically. It's not a human life, it's just animal life.
そういったものが全て超えなければならない。そうでなければ、私たちの人間実生活は動物生活と同じことになっちゃいます。
Which may be pretty well organized. The ants are pretty well organized, the bees are organized, but they're just not humans. They're disciplined, organized, that can also be there, but they're just not humans.
しかし、オーガナイズされたとしても、アリでも、そういう動物でも、オーガナイズはされているわけですが、しかし、信仰の原則がなければ、我々も同じように動物の原則、そういうオーガナイズされていたとしても動物と同じです。
So, but the Vedic society doesn't start with that. Of course, it does mention if somebody falls from higher consciousness to lower, it mentions the principles of elevating the consciousness. But essentially, Vedic culture starts from the highest degree and then describes the lowers.
しかし、ベーダではその高い原則という低い原則から高い原則まで、説明されていますが、しかしそこではだんだん原則から高められて、高い原則に行くことがある。それが大切なゴールなんです。
So the highest principle, in that sense, essentially, of course, they're much higher than that as well. But the point is that some authority, that is the higher principle where real religious practice can start.
その中で高い原則を まあ、より高い原則を受け入れるのがエッセンスなんですが、最終的にその宗教的な権威を受け入れるということにが一番重要になります。
And then this would be on the level of Manomaya or Jnanamaya, same thing, where people then start accepting some authority greater than what they are.
まあ、それをして、この説法として、マノマヤ、ギャラマヤを超えて、権威を受け入れれば、一体自分が誰なのかを考えます。
So this is the crucial point within any spiritual practice to accept an authority.
どのような信仰的な活動だとしても、そこには権威を受け入れるという原則があります。
So therefore, the Vedic scriptures will point out that the deal, if you follow like this and like this, then this is going to be your reward. Reward. If you do things in a certain way, if you adjust, organize your life in a certain way and perform various kinds of activities as such, then you will have certain reward for that. You will be rewarded. You will gain something.
それをして、そのベーダの権威を受け入れる、ベーダを受け入れる、それを実行することによって、最終的に結果を得ることができます。
You know, you will get this if you do like this. If you do this puja, if you do this ritual, then 10,000 generations will be liberated. No, I'm joking. This, or then you will go to heaven, or even in this life you will be saved from this and granted that, and so on.
そのプージャをする、そうすると何十万人解放されるとか、天国に行けるとか、今世が非常に、素晴らしくなるとか、そのような結果が来ます。
So many promises. Just recently, I was in Hong Kong now, and on the street there were some people distributing some leaflets. It's a little funny. I'm in Dodgy and Kurta and stuff, and already I hope kind of looking like a monk, but they handed me one leaflet. I think, what's the point? If somebody's already committed, you usually don't do that.
私はその同期空間に来ていたので、お坊さんとして見られたかったんですが、何をやっているのかというふうな興味深く見られました。
So anyway, I took that leaflet. I thought, what to do. So later, after some time, okay, let me see what it is, just briefly. And actually, what they did, they were complaining and about some certain person in Hong Kong who is misleading people, promising them eternal life and youthfulness even in this life,
そので何か文句言う人がいて、香港で、そしてその人が何か間違って導かれている人ですが、今世において永遠に生きるということを主張するわけです。
So this leaflet pointed out that this person should be persecuted because he's a cheater.
その人は結局その人を騙す人に導かれている。
That he himself has so many, health issues, and none of his followers over the years have remained youthful. Have remained youthful. They grew old. So whatever he was promising about youthfulness, so then that was all false. So seemingly he had some large following in Hong Kong, and people were misled like this. So somebody, woke up a little bit and tried to. So this is mostly how people operate, within this world. They always think, if I do something, what is there for me? Yeah, means, but if I'm supposed to do something, what can I expect from that? What is there for my senses mostly? So politicians also use this tool. It's just natural psychology. It's just, people operate on that principle. Means they work, they function. Unless you gain something, you won't get involved in that. If you gain something from certain activity, otherwise you won't get involved in that.
もし何かを得れれば何かをするわけです。
It's not just for the pleasure of somebody else or this and that. No, you're thinking from your personal selfish point of view.
そういう人たちは、利己的な自分の楽しみのことを
So especially this kind of offering, even in this body, will be eternally young. I mean, that's kind of funny how they came out. That's pretty stupid, actually. You know, how they could say people something like this. That's like pretty temporary, you know. I mean,
永遠の体を得れるとか、この今世において、この体において、実際これは一時的ですから、それは言えない。
You know, and then you do like this, and we'll have a nice society, and you will have a plenty of enjoyment, and this and this and this and this. So they try to involve people in such kind of through such kind of different promises.
こういうふうに社会で楽しむことができるよと、社会でのその約束ごとを
I guess here in Japan also, that's the whole propaganda. Is the point, you work hard, you be disciplined, and you do this and this and this, and you can have a happy life, right? Kind of like this.
日本でもそうですね。日本でもいろんなことを政府が宣伝して、こういう、政府だけがいかないかもしれませんが、原則を守ればあなたはその人生が成功して楽しくなりますよと、そういう宣伝をしている。
But then also you kind of learn, yes, if you want to attain something and you want to organize something, then you still have to, it's not all just so smooth and easy. You'll have to sacrifice a little bit.
そして、それで何か人々を得ることができれば、それは成功して、さらにそれをしようとする。
It's a little principle of goodness. It's kind of, you understand that you can't have so many things or anything. You can't have it unless you, endeavor for it. Unless you endeavor, unless you strive, unless you work for it. Yeah, you can't get something for nothing. That's common sense. So therefore, you have to sacrifice at least your time, your energy, maybe your likings or this and that, but it's, it's kind of higher cause. It's something better, so it's worth it.
ですから何かするには必ずそこで、捧げるものじゃなくて努力をしなければ成り立たないと。それは場所とか時間とかに応じてその努力をすればすることで自分が高められる。
So that's mode of passion mixed with mode of goodness, meaning that yes, I have strong desire to get something, but then I understand that I have to, also sacrifice something. So therefore, if I want to build a community, if I want to, obtain something, then I will have to, work hard for
that. そういうふうにしてパッションだと望みがあると。しかしその望みを満たすためには犠牲を払わなきゃいけないと。一生懸命なんかしなきゃいけない。
And we see throughout the history, when any society became very successful or any empire, we have a lot of empires in the West. Here also, I guess there were many. People had to sacrifice a lot.
歴史の中でもエンパイアと言います。
Empire, Roman Empire, British Empire, like this extended, like all this big
society.
Yeah.
王朝とかなんかわかりませんけど、そういうものが、歴史の中で成功した人たちはそういうふうに犠牲を払っているわけです。
Again, principles of discipline and that sacrifice and order and like being very committed to something.
そこでは原則とか、その非常に努力とか、その指令とかそれに約束とかを守って努力した。
Even in ordinary life, you want to achieve something, you really have to, you do have to sacrifice a lot.
普通の人生であっても、自分の人生の中で非常に努力しなければ何でも成功はしません。
But then we see when you do, after all that sacrifice, when society gains, because that's just common sense how from the Vedic point of view, how everything functions, that by piety you can only obtain some opulence, only by piety, at least some tinge of mode of goodness that's about pious. You get some pious credits from that.
そうして、社会の常識などもあるわけですが、その機能というのはその経験なことをする。で、経験なことをすれば、そういう素晴らしい富とか得られるわけです。だからそういう活動をしなければそれは得られない。
So then you can obtain something, but then once you do obtain, then you tend to slack in your discipline and you just practically drift away from the mode of goodness. You just become covered by lower modes.
まあその後、そういったものを得た後で、今度は徳の式の方に、を求めていく。
Like we practice sadhana. And then you may think, wow, I'm a great devotee and, I don't have to practice sadhana anymore. I don't have to get up anymore in the morning. I don't have to chant. I already know Krishna and I already this and that. And then, what happens afterwards?
まあですから、サダナもそうです。サダナをやって、自分はもう大丈夫だ、偉大な献身者だと、自分はもう高いレベルだと、もうクリスナのことを知っているというふうになれば、一体どうなるんでしょう。
Then you fall down.
落っこっちゃう。
Yeah, it's just you just can't stop with it. It's just as long as we don't get the natural raganuga taste, for performing bhakti, then we just have to just be constantly in the fire of this Vaidhi bhakti.
しかし私がそれ止めてしまうと、でもそれでは達成できない。我々はバクティで、バイディをやっていかなければ、そういう高いラガヌガというところには、そういう味わいを味わうところにはいかないわけです。
Until we get that spontaneous taste, we have to mold our consciousness by this certain practice, by the practice. Like Prabhupada said a very strong statement. He said, anybody, any of my disciples, whether they're big or small, they have to come from Mangalarati. Otherwise they will fall. Otherwise they will fall down. So therefore we have to build up to that mode of goodness. Of course for us then it's austerity kind of, because we don't have taste for it. But once we become naturally situated within it, then it's then it's Shuddha Sattva practically. That's Raganuga platform. So people do understand this in material world to the degree that they have to just somehow organize the system that and which is based on some sacrifices and austerity. It's just inevitable.
人々はこの世界で社会的なオーガナイズがしていかなければいけないし、そういう苦行、それに自分の力を費やさなければ成功しないということをしています。
And of course, Krishna mercifully appears himself directly sometimes to present Yada Yada Idammasya and Paritanaya Sadhana. I mean, he personally sets up the society. Of course, that's from the topmost level. But sometimes people, even when they become degraded, they also come to understand the principles, universal principles of organizing any society.
そういうクリシュナの慈悲でもって、クリシュナが直接この世界に降りてきてくれると。
Or Krishna sends different representatives to present these religious principles.
そしてそこで、クリシュナは宗教原則を確立します。
So in essence, any society that has been successful, that means they build up some piety, or they have accepted something to some degree that has been authorized by Krishna.
ですから社会的に意味でも経験なことをしなければ成功はしないわけです。
So therefore, we have various teachings, throughout the world, throughout various cultures and traditions.
ですから私たちはその歴史、トラディションという歴史に伝統的な教えを人々に伝えるわけです。
And all of them mostly, again, will, to attract the people to start following something, will offer different kinds of tempting, promises. Something that is very attractive.
Mostly, what kind of attractive?
Like I see in the kitchen, I can see rasgulla, so that's very tempting. Yeah, it's very tempting to take it, if it's offered, if it's Mahaprasad. I'm attracted to that, so it's tempting. I'm tempted to take
Roto
it.
する。
Yes, to take it.
ロトする。
Anyway, that doesn't.
まあ、もしそのそれが父にやれば、それを私が手に入れようと考えるわけです。
So therefore, all these different offerings are there. If you do something like this, then you will be granted that, and you will be, like, you will enjoy in your life.
まあ、そのように何か、自分が捧げて、そして何か自分の見返りとして楽しもうと、そう考えます。
So this is something that we define as a karma mishra bhakti.
まあ、これらをカルマ、ミシュラ、バクティ。
Actually, I'm sorry, this is karma kanda. It's just bhakti comes later,
Yeah,
It's,
カルマカンダ。
that's pretty much karma kanda.
カルマカンダというカンダ。
I already jumped too high. Yeah, that's karma kanda. It's just karma kanda. I just follow rules and regulations. I just follow different laws because I know I'm going to benefit from it.
まあ、それはルールを守って、守ることによって、その恩恵が得られるという、実績の恩恵が楽しめるという、そういう部門です。
And but then when I advance a little bit, when I at least start accepting Krishna as the supreme person, and then that becomes bhakti. Then I do something. I do have desires. Desires are first, and Krishna is second. But still, Krishna is there. So then that's karma mishra bhakti.
まあ、そのようにして、その次は、もっとその次に発展していきますと、クリシュナシロシだと、そのバクティに関わってくると。で、まあ、最初、望みが、自分の個人的な望みがあって、次にクリシュナという順番になるので、これをカルマ、ミシュラ、バクティと言います。
So mostly all the demigods are on that level. They're on the level of karma mishra bhakti.
ほとんどの神々はこのカルマミシュラバクティという範疇に入ります。
This is the level that obviously Chitraketu, King Chitraketu was.
まあ、このチトラケというの段階がそこになります。
And his queen, Kritadyuti.
そしてそのクリタジュティの姫様もそうです。
Of course, actually, the verse previous, she even, she wasn't even on the level of bhakti in one sense. She rejected everything. She spoke from the level of karma mimamsa philosophy.
まあ、もちろん前世はバクティを、まあ、修練していたと。カルマミマンサのに関わっていたんですかね。
So it seems that he was also attracted very much. Karma mishra means it's, it is connection to the Lord, but still I expect results from my activities, from my work, from my religious performances.
まあ、カルマミシュラバクティ、そのクリシュ、お姫様の方は、カルマミシュラバクティで、それは活動の結果を求めている。まあ、しかし、その宗教原則は違う。
This is sakam karma.
それがサーカーマカルマ。
Yes, I'll do something, but I'm attached to the fruit.
まあ、何かをしますよと原則を従い
And
ます。しかし、その結果を楽しむことを望んでいる。
I want to enjoy that fruit of my work,
まあ、その活動することで、結果を楽しみ
of
たい。
my service or whatever.
何か奉仕をすることによって自分は楽しみたい。
Otherwise I won't do it.
でなければ自分はやらないよ。
So we see, like for example, Indra. It's very interesting. Later on, it's gonna come. Chitraketu when he became Vitrasura. That's a nice pastime also.
まあ、あとからインドラがやってきて、力がつけてると素晴らしい、関わりを持ちます。
Now Indra was approached by Dadichi.
インドラはディッチという人にアプローチしました。
And for something pretty insignificant, but Indra didn't even give him any time of the day, just completely neglected him. Yeah, just completely ignored him.
まあ、しかし、ディッチをもう完全に無視してしまいました。
Dadichi is a great sage.
ディッチは偉大な聖人です。
And then when Vitrasura appeared, the demons became so powerful, they just swept demigods like that.
ウルトラスがそこで誕生しまして、彼はとても力強くて神々を恐れさせました。
And then again, what the demigods do, they go to the shore of the milk ocean and they pray, or they go first to Brahma, and then if Brahma is unable to do anything, then they go there and they pray to Lord Vishnu to protect them.
まあ、そうやって神々が集まると、牛乳の海に行くわけです。そして牛乳の海に行くと、ブラマがいて、ブラマに頼むと、ブラマはビシュヌに、お祈りをします。
And then Lord Vishnu said, fine, go to the Dichi and fashion a thunderbolt from his bones.
そしてビシュヌは分かったと。 その骨から、ブリトラスラーかなの骨から雷を作りました。
So just imagine what a blow to Indra's ego that was. Here he just ignored Adichie, and now he has to go to ask, for some insignificant thing. And now he has to go to the Adichie and ask him for the ultimate thing. What is the ultimate thing in this life? It's this body.
そうやってインドラのエゴはもう本当にすごいものでした。ディーチを無視したのに、またディーチに頼んだんですかね。頼んで、その骨から雷を作ってください。で、これはすごい究極的な、肉体意識であります。
I was always wondering why would Indra require, or why taking bones from a sage to fashion a weapon? That's kind of like.
なぜ聖者に he asking, please give me, thunderbolt from bone.
Yeah, no, he would have made a thunderbolt from his bones.
His bone, he means that Dichi.
No, Indra.
Indra.
But from the bones of the Dichi means.
Yeah, bone from Dichi.
Yeah, from his body, bones,
ディチのその聖人を無視したのに、その聖人に頼んで、インドラはその聖人の骨を取って、雷をくださいということになります。
So then I came across one story in the Puranas which explained that Adichie at some point, all the the most powerful weapons within the universe, they were hidden from the demons when they reigned in the universe. When they overpowered the demigods. So all those weapons were hidden. He was such a sage that he could hide those weapons in the subtle forms. He hid them in his bones. That's why these bones were so powerful. Because that's not mentioned in Bhagavad.
その神々っていうのは、聖者のその骨とかそういう体に見えないように隠していると。だからそれを引っ張り出すことと、またその例えば今回骨ですけど、骨からそのものすごい強力な雷を出すことができるわけです。
So then the Dichi, just Indra comes and he has to bow down and just ask, please give your body. Just imagine somebody ask you, okay, please give up your body. Yeah.
インドラはディチに頼みました。僕は体をくださいと。あなたの命をくださいみたいなものですけど、そしてあなたの骨ください。頼んだわけです。
And the Dichi just said, sure, no problem.
もちろんいいですよと。
He just leaves the body. He's a yogi, he can leave it at any moment. He's a sage. Yeah, and Indra is shocked, wow. Yeah. So selfless, so selfless. So anyway, Indra uses his bones, which are infested with all these, subtle, powerful demigod-like weapons. And he fashions the thunderbolt, and he goes back and fights with Vitrasura. But the problem is, okay.
そうやってそういったものを使って、神々からのその希薄な力、強力なものを使って、ブリトラスナをインドラがやっつけようとした。
But then he's using his club. He's using, he starts fighting with his club.
そして今後をこの戦いの時にインドラは使い始めた。
He starts fighting with the club because this club has defeated so many other demons already. He's so proud of his club, undefeatable weapon that he has, against the demons.
ですからインドラはその棍棒を使ったのは、なぜかといえば神々をと戦った時に神々がそれを使ってたくさんの、相手をやっつけることができたので、彼はそれをまず使った。
And he throws his club onto Vritrasura.
で、ブリトラスラにその棍棒をぶん投げました。
And Vritrasura, just catches it with the left hand, not with right hand. It's not worth of fighting. It's just with the left hand. Just picks it like this. And he kicks Airavata, the elephant. It's enormous, the biggest elephant practically in the universe, just the most powerful. It just kicks him so far away,
まあ、ベルトラスラはそれを左手のもう指で簡単にインドラの棒をキャッチしました。で、その後でインドラの乗っている乗り物のアイラバタをベルトラスラは蹴っ飛ばして宇宙の遠くに投げ飛ばしました。
And Indra is shocked now. Nobody ever, nobody ever kicked Airavata, first of all. Nobody ever, and even worse, it's not so shocked about Airavata being, kicked away so far. He's not shocked about that. He's shocked that nobody ever was undefeated by his club. And Vritrasura just, just took it as a play toy.
まあ、それでインドラブ、すごいびっくりしました。この力強いアイラバタ、誰もできないようなことをブリトラスがしたわけですから、そして、このクラブ、誰もクラブ棒に立ち向かえなかったやつを簡単に取られてしまった。
So Indra, the king of universe, he just, he sits down, he just, like this. He just supports his head by his hand, he's completely, devastated. He's just completely depressed. He's just, he's defeated. He's finished. He just doesn't know what to do. He just couldn't believe that somebody, can, overpower his club and, he was so proud of his club and his abilities to fight and everything. And there here comes the Vitrasura and said, hey, don't you have any faith on the Lord? What did Krishna tell you to do? Didn't Krishna tell you to fashion this thunderbolt and fight with a thunderbolt? He has to preach to him to follow what Krishna or Vishnu told him to do. This is karma mishra bhakti. That means by my power, by my prowess, my this and that. First me, and then later Krishna. When things go wrong, when there is a trouble, then we take shelter of Krishna. But even then, they took shelter of Krishna, but he didn't follow. First, again, he put himself in front. I'm going to do something. I'm this, I'm that. And then maybe Krishna. So that's the karma mishra bhakti. First me, Krishna is second.
Yeah, that's why he using.
Yeah, that's why he used the club.
だからそれはカルマミシュラバクティというやり方だったわけです。インドの考え方。で、これはその意味は自分の力、私がというのは最初にして、クリスナはその2番目に来るわけです。
That's why Vitrasura.
自分が恋者であると。問題があった時だけお祈りすると。自分がやるという意識があるので、雷じゃなくて棍棒を使って自分の力というふうに示してしまう。
So Chitraketu, who later became Vritrasura, so a pure devotee, he as a demon, he's preaching to Indra, this is what you should do. Take this thunderbolt, which is invested with all the powerful weapons, you fight with that thunderbolt and kill me. Yeah, so anyway, so that's the point. So he's on that level, karma mishra. He's expecting so many things. When the things don't go his way, then what to do, Then it's the Lord's fault. And then it's Krishna's fault. But it's not Krishna's fault. You're not following Krishna's instruction. That's the fault. You have your own idea. You want to do things in your own way, and when it doesn't go well, hey, then it's Krishna's fault. So King Chitraketu here is so attached to all these different offerings, that you will have a son, you'll be saved from hell, you'll be happy, this and that, and son is gone now. Now what? Whom to blame? It's Krishna.
まあ、ですから、チトラケテはそうです。そういう段階で。チトラケテの息子には執着していて、地獄にしたくないと。幸せな生活をやりたいと。しかし、息子が死んでしまったので、クリシュナに文句を言っているわけです。
We will all suffer in the darkest region of hell, by the hands of merciless Yama and this and that.
まあ、そうやって、とても苦しまなきゃいけないだろう。 山ラジャが来て自分は罰せられて地獄に行かなきゃいけないじゃないですかと文句を言った。
So this is for karma kanda principles or karma mishra bhakti like this, it's just that's how it works then if you don't surrender to Krishna.
これがカルマカンダ、カルマミシラの原則的な考え方です。それはクリシュナに服従はしない。
But Prabhupada points here, somebody comes to the level of nishkam karma, that means performing devotional service or performing religious activities, without a desire for result, that's much greater, that's much better, that's where bhakti starts.
しかし、その次にプラバダをおっしゃって説明していますが、西川というのがあります。それは、奉仕がまた高まって宗教的な、ことになって、そしてこの望みというものがに執着しないで、結界執着しないで活動ができる。そうすると、本当のバクティがそこからスタートします。
Interestingly, in Bhagavad Gita, when the Nishkam karma is brought up by Krishna, to acting in the Nishkam karma level, then the Acharyas explained that there are two levels of Nishkam karma.
西川カルマのことがバガバッドギータで説明されていまして、アチャリヤによれば、2つの種類の西川カルマヨガがあります。
So first one is just act. It's not, the point of I'm acting, but I'm not expecting results, which is nice, which is great.
一つは私は活動しますが、活動の結果には執着しません。これはとてもいいことです。
But then higher level than that is not, it's not that just I'm acting and not expecting a result, but I try to please Krishna. I try to do that for the pleasure of Krishna. That's even greater.
さらに偉大なのはですね、活動して、この結果をやってくると、それに執着しない。それだけではなくて、クリシュナを喜ばせようと、クリシュナの喜びのために何かをしようという、その特徴があります。
So this is why, Prabhupada points out here in the purport, he says that if one becomes a devotee, he has no more obligations to the law of karma.
From beginning.
If one becomes a devotee, if one, tries to serve Krishna, he has no obligation of karma.
No obligation of karma.
Yeah, the laws of karma, he's not bound by the laws of karma.
Yeah,
he's not subservient to the laws of karma.
Influence.
I'm sorry?
Influence, karma.
Yeah, karma. He's beyond the laws of karma. Because that's abhakti. It's not karma, akarma. It's not karma, vikarma. It's akarma. It's bhakti. So devotee is above the laws of karma when he acts for pleasure of Krishna. Devotee is not bound by such laws. You have to have a son to be saved from hell and this and that. No, because.
献身者は、献身者であればそういう低い、そういう望みからは自由になって活動するわけです。
Yeah, so the devotee doesn't have to worry about, this kind of promises and not promises and doing this thing and that thing and all the karma kanda stuff. Devotee is far above any of those.
献身者というのはそういった、今までの、西川家はそういうものに執着していません。影響されないで、ただ献身、クリシュナに推しを捧げます。
So that's the problem when people get really stuck. This is a big thing now. How much time we have? We still didn't touch even upon yesterday's verse. The point is, people get really attached to these fruitive activities.
ポイントですけども、これは大きなお話で時間がありませんけど、人々はものすごく強烈にこの物質世界に執着をしています。
They consider fruitive activities, more important than bhakti. They don't even know what is bhakti. They think bhakti is just something that is, just disturbing actually real religious principles.
ですから、そういう執着している人は、バクティよりもそういう過保的な本がとても重要だと考えます。そしてバクティは過保的なそういう方法を見出してしまう。
They think bhakti is an obstacle to religion. It's an obstacle to religion.
オプティカルって反対。宗教原則に反していると。バクティ。そういうふうに考えます。
So that kind of mentality develops when somebody is staunchly just, attached to karma kanda rituals.
そのような信条の人がカルマカンダの原則にとても信念を持ちます。
We see in history, how many great devotees have been persecuted practically, the point of persecution, because, people were stuck to these religious principles, lower religious principles.
たくさんの歴史の中でそういう 低い宗教原則に従ったという歴史があります。
Because by bhakti, you disturb their sense enjoyment.
なぜかといえば、バクティは先の話に
They
つ
don't
ながりますが、感覚満足と反対しているからです。
they don't want Krishna, but they want everything to be very nice and perfect within this material world.
クリスナは知らない。ただこの物質世界で楽しみたいんだ。
You know, like the word says, very sophisticated.
サフィスティケイ
Yes. Sophistication, sophists. Sophists were the people who condemned Socrates to death. It's in Greece.
ト。イングリッシュ。
Sophists, they were a group of people,
Yeah.
or many people, who were very, you know, like sophisticated. That's where the word comes from. They were like very paka, you know, like we follow religion, we get nice results, everything is nice, everything is perfect, everything is this and that. You know, whole material world is organized, discipline, very, very nice, you know, we get nice results, we get nice enjoyment. Yeah, people think like this. These are sophists kind of type of people.
ソフィスティケートというタイプの人々は、この物質世界でいろんなものがオーガナイズされて、整っていて、上手に運んでいて、心地よく都合がせると。そういうものを望んでいる人。
You know, but then Socrates was talking, hey, we're spirit soul, you know, we're not this body, and you know, making everything nice in relationship to the body and this material world, it makes no sense. You should look beyond that. And for that, he was condemned to death.
そういうスピリチュアルな人は、そういうものは人生の目的ではないと、我々は自分の実態は心がね、体ではない、それらを超えたものであるということを言うわけです。
They didn't want to hear that.
でもそれを聞きたくない。
You know, they thought that he's corrupting the youth. He did youth preaching. I mean,
だからそういう人たちはそういったものを聞きたくないので否定してしまう。
and they forced him to commit suicide, to drink the poison.
しかし、そういう人たちは毒を飲んでいる。
What happened to Jesus? The same thing. He was talking about the soul, he was talking about God, the spiritual life, you know, but they were so attached to rituals, which they didn't understand. They just took it as for sense gratification. They crucified him.
キリストもそうです。事実は、神について、人生についてちゃんと教えたんだけど、そこにいた人たちの多くは、それが理解できなかった。なぜかというと、この世界で楽しみたいという欲が強すぎたからです。
You know, Ramanujacharya persecuted by one king Chola, you know. That's a whole, you know, there's so many devotees just being persecuted for preaching bhakti. You know?
ラマナジャチャレは、そのデボティがたくさんいて、バクティのプリチンをしたんですか。
You know, so people being attached, like here, you know, to this karma kanda, you know, this is, you know, so then you, Krishna, interfered in my sense enjoyment. How could you do this?
すごく執着していた人は、カルマカンダに執着しているので、そういったものにも聞く耳がなかった。
Or devotees are interfering in my sense enjoyment, you know.
デボティは自分の感覚のことを邪魔する。
So this is that, you know, mentality, unfortunately.
不幸にもそのような、メンタリティ
that people are attached to. Yeah.
要素を持っているわけです。それはなぜかというと、この世界にとても執着している。
So in the name of being religious, actually they're irreligious.
人は宗教的であるべきですが、それはしかし非宗教的であります。
You know, so that's what Prabhupada points out. You know, practice bhakti. All of this is just, it's like, you know, it's just so, it's abominable actually. But somehow it has to be there to degree elevate people in their consciousness.
ですから、そういう高めた人はこのバクティの修練に生きる。
You know, so-called piety. Actually, so-called piety, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said actually that piety is also sinful.
そのそうコール、いわゆる経験な活動というのをシバナタ・チャクラバルティは研究していまして、それもとても罪深いことだということです。
Piety or impiety, both are sinful.
経験、不経験、両方とも罪に関わります。
Because they have nothing to do with Krishna.
なぜかといえば、クリシュナに何も関わらないから。
So being attached to this piety, doing things and getting certain result, that's also sinful.
その経験な活動をして、その経験な活動を受け取るということ自体も罪です。
You know, so this is why, you know, we should, you know, that's how we should understand karma kanda essentially.
ですから私たちはカルマカンダということを、それは楽しむ、そういう原則だということを理解しなければいけないです。
Okay, anyway, I guess we can stop here now. Yes.
ここで終わります。すみませんでした。大丈夫。
We'll bring up other things maybe tomorrow or something. Let's see. So, are there any questions or comments?
何か質問どうぞ。3人だぞ。Yeah, it's very important point in pious. People very easy understand impious. You know, that's a sin. But pious, why sin? They cannot understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very important line.
Yeah, because you just take the law and certain principles and this and that, you think this is the absolute. It's not the absolute. Krishna is the absolute. Krishna can break, they think it's sinful. How could Krishna lie? How could make Yudhishthir lie on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? How is it possible? So they blame Krishna for, they can't understand. Krishna makes the law. He can change anything the way he wants. That's what's real piety. That's what's real, religion. Or so many other things, so they even blame Krishna, for that. They can't understand it. They're so attached to the,
今日の罪、パイアスからのこれ、一般者の中でね、経験なことをすれば、人々は普通は経験なことをして、経験な反応というかね、それを持つということは理解できる。でも、経験なことをすること自体もまた罪である。なぜかといえば、スピリチュアル、純粋なクリスチャンにコネクションを持たない。ここを理解することが理解できるかできないか、普通なかなか理解できないということをお話しました。
They really don't understand the higher principles because they don't have higher consciousness.
彼はそういう高い、意識を持っていないので、高い原則が頭に入らない。だからクリシュナが、クリシュナの戦場で、戦ったと。そのことが人々は
That's why That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was like a lion guru. He would just smash and rip everything apart, any kind of welfare activities. Always be good to people, feed the people, be nice, this, that. He said it's all rascaldom. They're all, all these Mayavadis, all demons in disguise. Having to have nice material world, this and that. But where is Krishna? There is no Krishna. All atheistic.
ですから、サバツバティ・バクル・マハラジはライオンブルと言われていました。ライオンのような先生。で、その世の中にいるいわゆる経験な人、いい人、そして、そういうマヤバディ、そういう方々はもう本当に悪魔だと。で、この物質世界でナイスに素晴らしくこの物質世界を楽しもう。しかしそれはなぜ悪魔的かというと、そこにはクリシュナが関わらないから。
Be nice to each other, which is just so superficial. It's just so disgusting, actually. Then, care about others, open, heal people, this, that, it's just all demoniac, actually.
ですから人々を素晴らしくケアして、面倒見たり、それ外的なケアですね。それからヒーラーとか、それはみんなデーモンになってしまいます。
So yeah, like kind of be pious and this and that, but there's no Krishna anywhere there. So it's all demoniac. But we see people are so attracted; they like it so much that's the goal of their life. To have such a nice sense enjoyment in such a nice, so-called pious way. So it's all simple.
しかしその経験が共に人々は利用されてしまって、それを楽しもう。でそれがそういう経験なことをすればいい結果が来る。しかしそれはみんな罪なことです。これは伝統ないです。よろしいですか？何かご質問ありますか？すみません、役割がなかったので申し訳ありませんでした。
Okay.
はい、ありがとうございました。
じゃあ、Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Adbhuta Hari Prabhu ki jai.
根底にクリシュナ意識がなければどんな経験をしてもそれは